Welcome back, and hello if you're new, and most importantly, Happy New Year. I hope you guys had a really lovely time over Christmas and New Year's. So this week, join me as we look at our first review of 2019 with Soilwork's Verkligheten. Verkligheten is Soilwork's 11th album and the first to feature Bastian Thursgaard after the departure of longtime drummer Dirk Verbeuren. Now, Bjorn has always wiped the floor with vocalists, but his performance on Verkligheten is absolutely sensational. From the midsection choruses of Bleeder to Spoiler to the absolutely huge vocal lines of The Nurturing Glance. Bjorn's vocals not only have a really fantastic sense of power, but this would be nothing without the level of control that the man can have on his vocals. Working between two different styles of clean vocals and harsh vocals, it's important to note that the harsh vocal style never overshadows or dominates the overall sound of the band, and most importantly, their melody. A key component in Soilwork, melody has been pushed to the very forefront of Verkligheten. Every track ensures that this melody is put forward at the very beginning of each song. The idea of cementing these melodies is very much prevalent in pop. I remember speaking to the contortionist Michael Lessard, and he was talking about pop, and he mentioned that what he tries to draw from those influences is to make you feel as though you've heard this sound before, and really ingrain those specific melodies, and that is exactly what Soilwork have done here. Overall, Verkligheten has a kind of a comprehensive sound that is put together from the album's intro track right until the final track. But the band have very much focused on the idea of the song's DNA themselves, which has really kind of pulled this stripped back approach and really looked at every single element of the songwriting. For example, on Witan, which is one of my favourites on the album, mainly because of those fantastically ingrained melodies, as I was saying. Despite Soilwork often hurtling past at breakneck speed, some of the best moments in Verkligheten is when the band actually slowed down and they changed this pace. With that in mind, the songwriting on the album allows for an incredible amount of scope to happen on the record. For example, Full Moon Shoals features this furious black metal blasting section, but then returns to this overall slower pace. Similarly, you'd be forgiven for thinking you were listening to Keep of Kalessin on When the Universe Spoke, which erupts in a flurry of blast beats, but then slows back down to return to this original idea of the riff. The album itself flows incredibly well, creating a really nice balance of both the extremes of the band. For example, the use of violins on Needles and Kin. But it wouldn't be a fantastic Soilwork record without incredible songwriting. And a perfect example of this is Stallfalgel, or Stallfalgel, I'm not entirely sure if I'm pronouncing that right. It starts with this helicopter-like rhythm which really carries the song forward before these massive swelling choruses. But for me, the most important part of the idea of this songwriting is that Soilwork have not overlooked any small dynamic. A key element here is the bass guitar. For example, on the first turnaround of the chorus, the bass stays in a much lower register, kind of anchoring this main riff. However, on the second turnaround of the chorus, it then moves up what sounds like an octave to really bring that brightness in, and you can actually hear the chorus soar even higher. It's an incredibly subtle yet very important change, and there are so many different ones like it all over the record. The guitar solos on this record are absolutely sublime, and the solo on Stallfalgel, the way that it's crafted, the kind of tension and release that is got behind it, all with the melody, and then it goes seamlessly back into a final chorus. Genius. However, for me, the crux of this record lies in that classic rock edge that the band have been experimenting with. For those of you who aren't familiar, Strid and guitarist Anderson are actually part of a band called the Night Flight Orchestra, and having released 2 albums recently, I feel that Soilwork have somewhat assimilated this idea of that classic rock Whitesnake 80s vibe, but into a Soilwork dynamic, and particularly the drum patterns adopt more of a classic rock approach, which not only makes the song more accessible, but also has this idea of making things a bit more simple, which is not always a bad thing. My only problem with this album really is that there are some sections which aren't quite up to par with the absolutely sensational moments that we can hear on the album. That is certainly me not saying that this is a bad album, definitely not, but more the fact that it could have been even better. For me, the track The Wolves Are Back in Town, it doesn't quite kind of fit, and I think that maybe if they would have trimmed a couple of tracks, it might have worked better as a more cohesive listen. It's a reinvigorated sound for the band, and quite possibly my favourite Soilwork album to date. And for that reason, I'm going to give the record a 4 out of 5. So, thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, hit that like and subscribe button. I've got plenty more album reviews, interviews, of which one features Soilwork's very own Bjorn Speed Strid, which will be out very, very soon. So make sure to share if you can. Let me know what you think of the singles and the album. Drop a comment, and I'll see you guys next week for another review. Alright, take care guys.